everybody, it's Mark Yegi. Welcome back to another weekly stock market update. Today is April 26th, already April 26th, crazy. Hope you're having a great week. We are in a red market, but things may be shifting as I'll show you here. We just got off a really cool call with a great discussion about SMCI coming into numbers next week and NVIDIA. And of course, Tesla, we did talk about it as well. But anyway, let's talk about the market. You can see we got 3 green lights, 3 red lights, and 1 green light, which means that we could be shifting into a yellow mode. I've been kind of thinking this is a dead cat bounce here for this week, but because there's not a lot of conviction that it's going much higher. It's just kind of hanging around the moving averages, but still trading a bit below, as I'll show you on the next screen. But we could go yellow here Monday or Tuesday. We'll see. We could also go redder. But anyway, look at the NASDAQ. It's under the 50-day moving average. It's been a long time since it's been under the 50-day moving average, and it gapped up today, which is helpful. But gaps get filled, so it may want to come back and fill that gap before this is all said and done. There's still a big gap hanging out there from about 6-7 weeks ago in 6-7 months ago in November. And that gap wants to get filled eventually, but I don't think we're going to have a bad enough market to get there. We may, but it doesn't seem like it right now. I think we're probably just going to fill this gap and start going back up. The S&P 500 is below the 50-day moving average. You can see that kind of looks the same. The Dow is a little worse. It's way below the 50-day moving average, and it's having a little trouble filling the gap from 3 days ago and getting back up there. And the New York Stock Exchange is right at the 50. That could lead us out because of oil and gold and all the other things that are in that New York Stock Exchange composite index. The volatility was up a few days ago, but it's now reverting back to the mean as it normally does. And so that's telling us, okay, maybe some people are starting to kind of kick tires and say, well, I'm going to get back in the market. Apple has got 5 days in a row, but the problem with Apple going up 5 days in a row, going into numbers next week, it's got low volume. And so it went up 3 days in a row last week to 178, pulled back, and then now is trying to do a bounce. There's a lot of work it needs to do before it gets above the 50. It's in a downtrend right now. It needs some good numbers to reverse, and Apple has this propensity of reversing on good numbers. So we'll see what happens. Tesla had a really great call. I listened to the whole call this week. Elon Musk was really on his game and talking about full self-driving and how it's going to change the world. And I'll leave it. I won't kill you with the whole conversation, but there's a lot of really good things happening at that company. And his analogy, which I thought was really great, was, 80 years ago, we'd get into an elevator and we'd tell the elevator operator, hey, take us to the 14th floor or whatever. And that guy would crank up the thing and it would drive the elevator to the 14th floor. Today, we get in and we go 100 floors by pushing a button. We don't think anything of it, right? We don't think about, is this safe? What happens if this? We don't have a guy there. Or a woman there managing the elevator. And he says that's the way self-driving is going to happen. And I think based on the videos, and I've watched a lot of videos of people doing this full self-driving supervised module, it's really amazing, right? You basically don't have to touch the wheel or the pedals. The car drives you according to the GPS. It stops for people pulling out in front of you. Anyway, you know what I think of Tesla, and I think that is the future. Think about $99 a month for all the cars that have full self-driving, and their fleet's now over 2 million cars on the road, with the Model Y being the #1 car sold in the world last year. So, to me, the company and the stock have been doing a divergent couple of things. Now I think the stock is starting to come back and really, well, I should say the price of the stock is starting to come back and really start to mimic all the good things that are happening at the company. And there's quite a few other ones, but I won't go into it. You can listen to the call or listen to some of my other videos on YouTube as well. So things seem to be changing. We're not out of the woods yet, but 3 really high volume candles bouncing off that bottom are great. The stock's up about $30 this week. Amazon had this weird candle yesterday where it recovered and now it's back above the 50-day moving average. I don't think there's anything wrong with Amazon. NVIDIA, there's a lightning bolt that I drew on this screen. Bottom line is based on the lightning bolt. I'm not going to go into all that. It's price volume analysis, which we do in our courses. But we basically see that this stock has moved about $501 up. It's had a pullback called the BC leg, and now the CD leg is going to be I think looking like that is setting up for it to go to 1257. Don't take my word for it. I don't predict stocks. I just try to play the probabilities. But when you do ABC analysis like I do, a lot of times these numbers keep getting hit, and almost to the penny. But there's a lot of work that it needs to do. It's above the 50 today. It's got to test that 974 level. There's a lot of things that need to happen. The market's got to help, but NVIDIA is a great company. SMCI's got numbers next week, and this stock has been all over the place, and it's been a tough one to hold, but those are sometimes the best ones. You can see relative strength on the screen, 99. So it's doing better than 99% of all the stocks in the database. So that's amazing, or at least the S&P 500. So what's going to happen next week with numbers? I don't know. The stock went from 357 to 1200, which is basically a 4x almost. And then it pulled back down to 700 this week. And so that's been a tough ride. If you're on, you want to buy a ticket for the next ride, I would wait till after numbers. We'll see what happens, because it could go down 150, up 150, and you got to be able to handle that move. And why handle that move on one day if you don't have to? Just be careful. Google is having a super week this week. I think they reported numbers and they're doing well. They're on a breakout, and now I've been talking about Google for a couple weeks. I said that they were on a breakout, and here they go, 12% up from that breakout spot. Meta is the opposite. They're having a really crappy week. They reported numbers this week, and I put a video out on Meta yesterday saying maybe they're doomed. And I just did an analysis in our group about all of the open gaps on the chart that are out there. And this thing could go to 180 bucks is the way I'm looking at the gaps on the chart. I don't know if it will now, later, whatever, but like they reported some really rough numbers based on the fact that they're investing on the future, which I think is great. But people don't like that investment on the future if it impacts the present. And Meta gave up a lot of stock price. It was down like $77 yesterday. But that was basically because they said they're not going to be that profitable because they're spending all this money on AI, which is, I know, the right move, but stock was down a lot, and it's going to probably continue down, I think, because there's a lot of negative momentum as it fills some of these gaps on the chart. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave it there. I've gone on probably way too long. I hope that was helpful. Just be careful out there. The market is still red until it's not. And green markets always come. So just get ready for those green markets. Have your watch list ready. Don't buy junk. Try to buy good quality stocks with a good story and good products and good management and a decent chart, and that are not oversold or overbought. Just be smart. Be a smart trader, and don't get sucked into what they talk about on TV and Kramer and CNBC and the sky's falling. Look at all the people that said that Tesla is going to 100, and here it is at 172 today. And all these really smart analysts that get paid all this money because they got all these fancy MBAs, they don't know anything more than you do, right? You are smart. Trust yourself. Never give up your power in your health, your wealth, or your time. So speaking of that, I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye.